Let me explain how the postal votes actually work, just to show you how it should work. And this is governed by another set of regulations, the 2003 postal voting regulations, which actually seem quite well drawn up. Basically, when they issue the postal votes, they give notice to all the candidates, election agents, and it's issued, and the postal votes are actually issued in front of the election agents so they can be monitored. Each postal vote has a counterfoil with a serial number, and all the counterfoils are kept in a sealed envelope, and all the list of all the people in that constituency to whom postal votes have been sent is also kept and sealed in front of the election agents. What then happens is that the postal vote is sent to the voter. The voter has a ballot, an envelope A, a form 2, and an envelope B. And what's supposed to happen is that he's supposed to take it to a witness. He fills in form 2, which is the identification form, and the witness, witnesses his signature and signs the envelope. And then after that, he takes it away, casts his vote, puts it in envelope A, and then envelope A together with the form 2 is put into envelope B, and then it's sent back to the constituency for which he's supposed for the vote to be counted. So it's actually supposed to be voting in secret. Now, postal votes in Malaysia have got a bad reputation because in Malaysia they're restricted basically to the police, the military, and election commission employees. And what everyone says is that, I don't know whether this is true or not, but in the army and in the police, they have to fill in the forms in front of their superior officer, and then who then witnesses it. So it's not done in secret. So by extending postal voting to absent voters overseas, there's no opportunity for that kind of manipulation, because what would happen is that you, as an overseas absent voter, would get your forms in the post. You get your wife or your friend who's a Malaysian citizen to witness the forms, and then you cast your ballot in secret, put it in an envelope, put it in another envelope, and then post it back to Malaysia. Or, ideally, in a rational world, you'd be able to do it at the High Commission, and they would fly the votes back so that you didn't have to do it a week in advance. But there's no way that this couldn't work. It's definite that the mechanism is there for it to be done in a transparent manner, and I think that there would be very little opportunity for fraud. The only way I can see that they would manipulate it is by, if the election authorities actually received ballots but then threw them away, or because they don't actually open the envelope A until they've been counted. So all they could do is, the worst I can see them doing is they receive 100 postal votes back, they decide to just throw them in the bin. But you're no worse off than you are now, where you don't have votes at all. The last by-election in Cebu, a lot of postal votes from the army and the police got rejected because the election agents were there checking the signatures against the signature on the forms against the envelope. They were checking the serial numbers and everything. So that's why it took so long for the result to come out, because the election agents were actually doing their job and checking every single postal vote to ensure that they were done properly. So that's in terms of manipulation. I think in Malaysia we haven't really had so far. It might be not the most transparent means, but we don't really get ballot stuffing, i.e. people getting fake ballot papers and marking them on BN and then stuffing them in the box. It's quite difficult to do because it's all the counting is done in front of the agents. Absent voter is just one of the several people who are entitled to postal votes. Basically, the 2003 regulation states that basically the people who are automatically sent postal votes are absent voters and then you get other categories, including election commission agents who are on duty on the day, or there are various categories who can be gazetted by the election commission. But apart from absent voters apply in advance. They're registered, they're on the roll, that's it. All other categories of postal voters have to apply only after the election has been called. And then they say, oh, it's on this date, I'm on duty in another constituency running the election. So they get a postal vote as well. So absent voters are a subset of postal voters. Some people have given thought to the idea of trying to be applied to be a separate category of postal voters, but there's no way we could get 700,000 or 1 million applications back to Malaysia after they've called the election, and then get it processed and then get the postal vote sent out. It just wouldn't happen. The only feasible way is the absent voter route, because that's the only way that you're registered. There was an article in the Chinese language press, which we've had translated, and it's on our website if you want to have a read of it. Basically, the vice chairman of the election commission, he denies neglecting Malaysians overseas, and he's basically saying that they're considering, they're membuat kajian, and they're looking into ways to enable absent voters and even outstation voters to vote. What they were suggesting was that, if you're working in KL, but you're from Sarawak, you should be able to cast your vote at a polling center in KL, and then it would be transmitted to Sarawak. So, but it's, as far as we know, there's no time scale for any reforms. There's no, and the idea that this would be allowed by the government, because it has to, the regulation is made by the election commission, but it has to be approved by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, and it's laid before the Dewan Rakyat. So if the Yang di-Pertuan Agong or the Attorney General advising him decides, no, we don't want this, then it's not going to happen, even if the election commission wanted it to happen. So what he says is that the campaigning period is too short, because the problem with postal votes from overseas is that you call the election, the postal votes have to be issued, sent out, and then they have to be, the voter has to mark them and then send them back. So even for the UK, that's 2 weeks minimum for the votes to go out. Even if you do it straight away and it comes back, it takes at least a week each way, so 2 weeks. So he says the campaigning period is too short. Now our response to that will be, who sets the campaigning period? It's the election commission. The date between nomination and voting, in the past, in a lot of countries, it's a month, it's 6 weeks. In Malaysia, generally, it's about 2 weeks, 9 days, 7 days. It's basically just to catch the opposition by surprise, because obviously the government knows when the election is going to be. They have all the resources, but the opposition is left on tenterhooks. So the longer the campaigning period, the better for the opposition. So our answer to that is that if the campaigning period is too short, make it longer. It's entirely within the election commission's control. Election commission lacks resources was his other reply. We don't know whether that's still going to be what they're saying, because in the latest budget, the 2011 budget, the election commission's allocation went up from 35 million to 250 million ringgit. God knows what they're planning to do with that.
By election,
and so what they're doing is that they're saying is that they're actively studying ways to allow overseas and outstation voting, but there's no time scale for change. So that's basically what the election commission's position is at the moment.